Richard Crouse.
Hey movie lovers, happy Canada Day. 3 big ones opening this week. Transformers, Dark of the Moon. Tell you about that one in a second. Monte Carlo, starring Leighton Meester, Katie Cassidy, and Selena Gomez. I'll tell you about that in a second. First up, though, is Larry Crowne, the new boomer comedy starring Tom Hanks and Julia Roberts. Now, this one is aimed firmly at an audience old enough to remember when a liter of gas was only 54 cents, when there weren't foreclosure signs on everybody's yard, on all your neighbors' yards, and when Tom Hanks and Julia Roberts were the biggest stars in the world. I think that that age range will find a great deal of pleasure in this film. It's a story of a man played by Tom Hanks, who also directs here, who works at U-Mart. He proudly wears his "My Name Is" tag and is the most helpful employee in the place until one day when he gets let go because he doesn't have a college education. Of course, he goes back to school to remedy the situation, whereupon he meets a pretty feisty college professor played by Julia Roberts, and of course sparks fly. This movie plays like a long-ish kind of sitcom, but it sort of harkens back to the days when Tom Hanks made funny movies and sort of had a light touch long before the Da Vinci Code came and made him oh so serious when he was on screen. Julia Roberts has her trademark Julia Roberts laugh, which of course either really annoys or really pleases you. Take your pick. Flip a coin on this one. It's up to you. Larry Crowne, I'll give it 3.5 stars. Transformers, Dark of the Moon. Now, this one surprised me more than I thought it was going to, because I was sort of almost indifferent to the first Transformers movies, not really very pleased with the second one at all. Now that we've come to the third one, I thought more of the same. How can this be any different than the ones that have come before it? Well, you know what? It's not that much different, but there's a couple of crucial things that have changed that I think make this one worth the money. Now, I got to tell you, it's a bit long. It's 2 hours and 37 minutes long. So it overstays its welcome by a little bit, but the last 40 minutes of this movie is one long, wild action scene where the Autobots and the Decepticons, if you don't know what that means, then you're probably not going to enjoy this movie. But I'll tell you, the Autobots are the good guys, the Decepticons are the bad guys. They're aliens, they're from outer space, they're cars, they turn into robots, and they fight. That's essentially what happens in all 3 of these movies. So there's a big battle scene between the 2 of those warring factions, and of course Shia LaBeouf as Sam Witwicky gets in the middle of it and tries to save the Earth for a 3rd time. This movie improves on the other ones in the sense that the action scenes in the first 2 movies, I could never tell what was going on. Who's fighting who? Who's winning? I don't know. It was just glinting metal and clashing iron. In this new one, Michael Bay has finally figured out how to shoot action sequences so that you can tell what's going on. Way better, way more fun when you can actually follow the story. And he uses 3D really, really well. I don't know. Is it the best 3D since Avatar? Probably. There hasn't been that much that's really impressed me along the way here. You know, I got to tell you, 4 stars for Transformers Dark of the Moon. If you go in, you turn the brain off, and you just sort of enjoy the popcorn and sit back and let the bombast kind of wash over you. Finally, we get to Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo is a Cinderella story about 3 young women from Texas who go to Paris on a dream vacation after graduation from high school. And of course, Selena Gomez's character is mistaken for a hugely wealthy, really, really insolent, not very nice heiress, but they get a better hotel room as a result. But of course, with all that stuff comes all the other stuff that comes along with being an heiress. She has to play polo, she has to meet with and flirt with very rich men with exotic accents. Meanwhile, running around Monte Carlo, having a grand old time with her 2 American ladies in waiting in tow. The only thing that goes wrong here is, of course, the real heiress shows up eventually, and her sort of glamorous life comes sort of crashing down all around her. This movie should be a screwball comedy. This should have been wound really tightly, sort of zipping from, imagine like when I was watching this, I was thinking, you know, there's a lot of opportunities here to make sort of like a Richard Lester kind of Hard Day's Night kind of feel to this thing. Lots of tight editing, have some fun with it, unfortunately, the filmmakers just aren't having any fun with it, and neither will the audience, I don't think. It's slow moving, very, very slow moving, and Selena Gomez, as charismatic as she may be when she's hosting award shows, so far to me has not proved that she is capable of headlining a movie. I do think Katie Cassidy has something going on, though. I thought that she brought some spunk, some much-needed spunk to this film, and Leighton Meester can do Ernest, I think, like no one else in the tween market right now. But, you know, Monte Carlo doesn't get a big recommend, although a tween audience will probably go just to see Leighton Meester, to see Selena Gomez, to see Katie Cassidy, to see the clothes, to see the surroundings, and to sort of suck up all the princess, rags to princesses kind of story that the movie has to offer. For me, it didn't work all that well. Anyway, happy Canada Day, Canada and beyond. Enjoy the 4th of July. Enjoy it all. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Richard